Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a crazy show, and I absolutely love it. I am eating it up. I just watched episodes 15, 16, and 17 of season 4. Oh my god, we have so much to talk about. This is going to be a doozy of a video. This is going to be a long one. So everyone go get your snacks and your water. Get comfy, get cozy. Let's talk about this because the amount of notes I took, like pages of notes. I had a sneaking suspicion that they were going to bring Faith back at some point, and this was the time, and it was a two-parter episode, and it was such a journey for this character, for these characters. I absolutely loved what they did with this plot. I loved how they brought her back, what they did with her when they did bring her back. I thought it was really well executed, and we're going to talk about it starting with This Year's Girl, which is episode 15. So the dream sequence that starts off the episode, the kind of coma dream, sort of laying the groundwork for what's going on in this coma that Faith has been in for eight-ish months, I think. And that is Buffy like hunting down Faith and kind of killing her over and over and over again, which is so interesting because Faith gives this air of like she doesn't care and she's not scared of anything, but clearly she is scared of Buffy in some regard. And also their dynamic is really interesting to me. There's a lot of layers there. And so I was like, okay, cool. So Faith is definitely waking up this episode, no doubt about it. Something that I was not expecting is to see the mayor again. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. That's crazy. He's obviously back only in like the coma dream sense, but like good for them for getting that actor back for a day, you know? The strung up demon flayed in the tree situation, by the way, reminded me so much of Hannibal. Like I haven't thought about Hannibal the TV show in quite some time, and I was like, I was like, that's very Hannibal core. Don't like that. But I do think that like Buffy haunting Faith is a really interesting concept. Going back to that, I'm looking at my notes now. One thing I have to say, waking up from a coma like that, Faith would not be able to walk around so easily. But we'll look past that for the sake of fiction. But I was just like, yo, she would not be this functional 8 months into a coma. TV magic, right? Now, I thought that like this actress did an incredible job sort of coming to terms with how long she's been out. It wasn't overacted. It was very well like performed as far as her coming to the slow realization of like how serious this was. Finding out about the school, finding out about what happened to the mayor and the principal and all of that was like, you could tell she was freaked out. Now, you know, I can't quite recall how she knows where Giles's house is. I feel like she does somewhere, but like me and Patricia were like talking about how the soundproofing in Giles's house is atrocious because what do you mean she's standing behind a closed window outside and can hear everything they're saying at perfect volume? I was like, sure. Again, we'll look past it for fiction. Faith is back to her weird flirting. She's like incapable of speaking to anyone without flirting with them. It's really interesting. The broad daylight fight between Buffy and Faith was insane. The amount of student body that was just witnessing these two women like get into a full physical altercation was wild to me. And so okay, that all being said, I have some notes about other characters looking down right now. Spike. We missed him. They got to put him in every episode because he's a series regular, right? And I like that he had to remind Xander and Giles. He's like, you know, I hate all of you. So even though I can't do anything to y'all, just remember that I hate you and I can let other people hurt you. So don't get it twisted. He says completely unconvincingly. I'm like, sure, Spike. There. I thought the whole like Mayor Wilkins video to Faith was interesting. That whole scene was, I think, well executed. The vibes between Willow and Tara, we're gonna get to that later. Put a pin in that one. Faith punching Joyce just square in the face was wild. Knocking her out cold with one punch. Okay, girl, sure. I did think the whole monologue, though, where she's like, you know, Buffy's never gonna come to save you, Joyce. Like, you don't, blah, blah, blah. And Joyce is like, you don't know my daughter. La, 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 la. I was like, of course Buffy's gonna come running in to save the day. And what do you know? She busts through the window and saved the day. Which this scene really made me realize how little we've seen of Joyce this whole time. I was like, oh, hi. Haven't seen you in a bit. Yeah, so the weapon Faith pulls out, immediately I was like, oh, something happened. I was like, one of them is possessing the other. Now, I didn't realize it was a full body swap until the next episode started, but I knew something happened. I was like, oh, something's not right. Something is not right. Okay, so episode 16, Who Are You? Definite body swap. Buffy is in Faith, and Faith is in Buffy. A fascinating concept. I love it. Okay? Kudos to Eliza, the actress who plays Faith, and Sarah, who plays Buffy, for their incredible performances in this episode, because it is really difficult to play another established character that a different person has played in your own body. Like, that is a very complicated thing to do as an actress, and both of them nailed each other's kind of like cadence and facial expressions in a way that was very impressive to me. I was like, these performances on point. Like, you can absolutely tell. And the whole scene in the mirror where like Faith as Buffy is pretending to be Buffy and like practicing how to speak as her was so well done. What an amazing performance by Sarah Michelle Gellar. In honor of Pride Month, we need to talk about Tara and Willow. Because what in the world is happening? I thought, okay, like when I started getting vibes off of them, their first few episodes together, I was like, right, like this could be easily just like passed by as like witchy best girlfriend type stuff, you know, like they're just like extra close because of the witchcraft. So the whole scene, I was literally watching this with my jaw on the floor. Patricia and I had to stop the scene, rewind it because it's on like an old DVD, and play it again because we were like, there's no way they just said what they said. There's no way that just happened. And this happened several times throughout these episodes. Because what do you mean she was like, Willow was like, I want something that's just mine. With the twinkly ass romantic music playing in the dimly lit bedroom, right? And then Tara goes, I am, you know, yours. What in the WLW is going on here? What in the... I'm shook. I'm shook. If any of you have bothered to look at my TikTok bio, like it's literally in my bio that like queer media and like queer subtext in media is like one of my passions. It's also one of my traumas because I know they're about to pull the rug out from under me. I know they are. It's going to piss me off so bad. It's going to piss me off so bad. I'm coming straight off the supernatural trenches, you know? You feel me? You feel me? And now they're putting this in my face. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to pull some bullshit. I know they are. I feel like I'm actively getting queer baited. Like, if you all have seen the show Adults, you know the scene in the gun shop where the gun shop owner is like, you queer baiting me? That's literally how I feel right now. I'm like, what are you about to do? Because right now you're making it very canonically obvious that they're in love with each other, or at least one of them is in love with the other, that there is something gay happening here. What are you about to do? It's going to piss me off. And then, to make matters worse, later in the episode, when she goes to introduce Tara to Buffy, who she doesn't know is not actually Buffy, and walks away, and then Faith, as Buffy, immediately clocks Tara, looking at Willow and going, so you guys have been hanging out a lot lately. And she goes, yeah, she's really cool. So Willow's not driving stick anymore. Who would have thought? What did she say? Like, dog, I was not prepared for any part of this episode. I was not prepared. But you know what I really appreciated? I thought that after the exchange between Tara and Faith as Buffy, it was bad because obviously she was really mean to her. I thought that that was going to cause some kind of rift between Tara and Willow, and I was really worried. I was like, oh God, here comes the miscommunication trope. However, that's not what happened because Tara immediately was like, no, something's wrong with her aura. Like, we need to investigate this. This is clearly not Buffy, blah, blah, blah. And Willow believed her. The heavens opened up, hallelujah, harps are playing. I'm like, God, I love women. Yes. Other random notes that I'm going back on. Buffy looks amazing with wavy hair. I know that's like the Faith version of Buffy, but she looks incredible. But when does she never look incredible? Like, she just looks incredible 24/7. Buffy dressed like Faith was not subtle at all, but like, okay, I dig. The Spike X Faith as Buffy dynamic. The running gag they have on this show, which I think is funny, is that they discovered that James Marsters and Sarah Michelle Gellar have insane chemistry, but like the characters of Spike and OG Buffy don't work together. And so instead of like making that a love story of any kind, they have just found increasingly more excuses to put the two of them together in like kind of borderline sexy scenarios, but like it's never Buffy as Buffy. It's either like she's under a spell or someone else is possessing her or something, because those two actors have incredible chemistry and they are capitalizing on that. And for that, I respect that. I do. Sorry, I'm actually back to Tara and Willow. I am back to Tara and Willow. Yeah, it's Pride Month, so you guys have to let me do this, okay? The magic circle with Tara and Willow, yeah? Mimicking the sex scene that was taking place with Buffy and Riley, well, Buffy, Faith as Buffy, and Riley, with Willow laying down, and it looks like that, with her making those sounds, overlaid over the other sex scene. Do you know? That's literally, that's not even... I don't even know what to... There's just no other way to interpret that. Like, they're force-feeding it a very particular way. They're like, this is how you interpret this. You're welcome, audience. Like, there's no... That was intentional. You cannot tell me that was not intentional. Okay, now onto the psychology of, like, Faith's journey within Buffy. The whole thing with Riley was crazy. Riley's such a good, like, person. I really like Riley for Buffy, original Buffy. And... It sucked that he told not Buffy that he loves her, but it was a really interesting reaction that got out of Faith because she like panics. She like has a panic attack basically over him saying that, this emotional intimacy that she's experiencing as Buffy and kind of living in her shoes. And I love that Riley doesn't even balk at it. Like, he is more worried about her and the experience that she is having than like being worried about his own ego, which I thought was really mature of him. And for a man on TV, I'm like, okay, maturity. Okay. Yeah, I really loved that we finally like had a scene with like Giles and Buffy, even though Buffy was as Faith. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, I thought that was a good it was kind of funny, like some comedic levity where she has to like prove to Giles it's her, and she has to bring up the whole thing about him having sex with her mom, which I guess they're never gonna let go. They're never gonna let the audience forget that, which I think is hysterical. And I like that Faith was actually starting to act like Buffy at the end for like saving this group of people in the church. And the fight at the end between Buffy and Faith, like, it was so interesting to me that Faith as Buffy is like beating up herself basically, because who she's seeing is like her own self, and calling her a disgusting murderous bitch. But it doesn't seem like she is saying that to Buffy. It sounds like she's saying that to herself. It's a really interesting like psychological case study there. And she ends up, you know, in the wind all alone. It feels like they closed the character arc but left the door open enough where they could potentially bring her back at some point in the future. But right now, like, we do have some amount of closure on that particular emotional arc for this character, which I thought was great, and I think they executed it fantastically. And like, this whole episode was so great. Like, the performances were amazing, the storytelling, it was just like a top tier episode, top tier. So I ran out of time to talk about episode 17, Superstar, but honestly that one deserves its own video because it's an entirely different can of worms to open. Super cool concept, and I have a lot of notes on it as well. So my next video will be a slightly shorter video just talking about episode 17 of Buffy, so look out for that one.